Mr. Peebles, you say you married the defendant, Mrs. Peebles, on April Fool's Day 2 years ago, but since then you've been played for a fool. You claim you are not her 20-month-old daughter, Amira's biological father, and are stuck on the birth certificate until today's result prove you are not her dad. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Since their April Fool's Day wedding 2 years ago, Mr. Peebles claims his wife has been making a fool of him. He insists he's not the father of her 20-month-old daughter, Amira, and is in court today to prove it. Mrs. Peebles, on the other hand, argues she's the one who's been played for a fool and wants her husband to stop dodging the truth and take responsibility as a father.
Mr. Peebles, explain to the court who is fooling whom.
Your Honor, truthfully, I feel like I'm the fool. In the beginning, everything was cool, she was nice, but then to come to find out she's very conniving, bossy, insecure, all of the above.
This seems like a game of guess the fool. Mr. Peebles claims that before their wedding, his wife was a wolf in sheep's clothing, and he had no clue. She was sweet and caring until they tied the knot, then her true colors showed. Suddenly she became conniving, bossy, and insecure. Can someone really change so quickly? And if she did, what triggered it? But Mrs. Peebles argues it was actually the other way around.
How we met is through a friend of a friend. We went to a club and we was introduced like that.
So, Ann, somehow you ended up married. What happened?
He wanted to be with me. When he went away, he made it real clear he wanted to be with me. So
after hitting it at the club, they agreed to start a relationship, and somehow that led to marriage. Mrs. Peebles seems a bit frustrated, which is justified, as instead of having a husband who helps with the kids, she has one who acts like a kid. Mr. Peebles says he's run out of love for her, but is the best thing to do after that to become a liability?
The day before my birthday, we got into it. So on my birthday, she dropped me off at my mother's house. She went to this little party that was already in the making.
incorrect, he drove my car. So I got picked up to go to this party, which I met the other guy.
One thing's for sure, this couple has a knack for memorable days. First, April Fools. Now, Mr. Peebles' birthday. You'd think a couple would want to spend a birthday together, but not the Peebles. He was at his mother's house, and she was at a party she'd been eagerly waiting for, completely unconcerned that it was her husband's birthday. Why? Because they weren't on good terms.
You felt like there was a previous plan for her to be cheating, and it was regardless of your birthday.
Right.
So on your birthday, you said you're gonna go out and have some fun.
Without me.
Without
What
you.
I'm supposed to do? To stay in
And
the
then
house.
how does it get to the point where you find out, Miss Peebles, your wife is cheating?
I called her phone.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. On Mr. Peebles' birthday, the couple is having fun, but in different locations. Then Mr. Peebles dials his wife's number. One thing about cases like this is that the couple never has their story straight. Mr. Peebles claims a guy picked up the phone, while his wife says she confessed to him herself that she'd had an affair. So, who do we believe?
And a guy picks up and says, I'm chilling with my baby
That's a lie.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a lie.
Yes, Aunt.
on his birthday.
That's a lie. He don't even answer the phone. I pay his phone bill every month.
So he does have valid doubt.
Why it seems so funky is because, of course, I was sleeping with him, but I use protection with this guy.
Oh man, Mrs. Peebles is already losing the support of the courtroom. She admits to sleeping with this guy from the party more than once, but thinks it's no big deal because she used protection. Cheating on your husband on his birthday is wild. It really shows how little respect she has for him. Seems like Mr. Peebles is the fool after all. Or is there more to the story that we don't know?
So wait, in November, you found out you were 2 months pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Peebles, when is your birthday?
My birthday's September 21st.
Okay. Let's go back to the 2 days after Thanksgiving. That's when you said you were pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
Uh-oh, things just got messier for Mrs. Peebles. Exactly 2 months after her little fling, she found out she was 2 months pregnant. Well, that would definitely raise doubts for any man. It's surprising she isn't questioning her daughter's paternity herself. Sure, it's not okay for Mr. Peebles to cheat. Cheating is wrong for anyone in a relationship, let alone a married person. But now, Mrs. Peebles, you've ended up with a questionable pregnancy thanks to this cheating boomerang.
This out, Mr. Peebles, what is your reaction?
My reaction was, I'm super excited. This gonna be my first child, but I keep replaying like these time frames, and I get to thinking like, dang.
Mr. Peebles definitely has a point. He has every reason to doubt Amira's paternity. No child for 2 years, then suddenly after the affair, his wife gets pregnant. Anyone, fool or not, would have questions. Plus, Mr. Peebles claims the guy from the club wasn't the only one. There were other men in the picture too.
But you had another man paying your bills and taking care of you?
Multiple.
How else was he getting taken care of?
Multiple.
Oh!
I wasn't going to keep on using my money.
Oh, so you took another man's money to pay for
Yeah.
the man you live with?
Yes.
This marriage is a circus. Remember at the start when Mrs. Peebles said she takes care of her husband like he's her child? Well, she does that with money she gets from other men. Shocking, right? We're just as surprised. She insists she didn't have any sexual relationships with the man who footed the bills, but let's be real, that's hard to believe.
I'm the bad person. When he up here talking to other women and got a baby on the way. We married now. Your baby due is 2 weeks before our baby birthday. And you still talk to her. And she your friend on Facebook, but your wife can't be your friend on Facebook.
Okay, the tables turned really fast. Mr. Peebles has a baby on the way with another woman? And what's this about his baby mama being his friend on Facebook while his wife isn't allowed to be? Oh, Mr. Peebles, you had us fooled all this time. Looks like your wife isn't the only bad guy here.
4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, I work 14-hour shifts. I'm a manager. He's out doing whatever he wants to do. I don't never see my husband. Never. I call his phone, I'm on blacklist.
The courtroom's back on Mrs. Peebles' side, and rightfully so. She's been shouldering all the responsibilities at home while Mr. Peebles goes around doing as he pleases. The man has no shame, standing there claiming all she does is nag. But what do you actually do, Mr. Peebles? What do you contribute, aside from blocking your wife's calls and spending more time with your baby mama?
We don't spend no time together. Every time we go out, I pay for the bill. I do it all.
Ask her about now, though. You pregnant now. How you get pregnant now?
Yeah.
What you been doing? Who you been with since
somebody
I
else.
left?
But guess what,
And
Your
we've been
Honor?
back together, and she still been with him.
What on earth is going on? Mrs. Peebles is pregnant right now? And just like the last time, she doesn't know who the father is. This couple has some serious issues, and honestly, our reaction is the same as Judge Lauren's. Maybe getting married on April Fool's Day was a bad omen for how this marriage would unfold. Maybe getting married at all was the real mistake.
It's too much. For real, it's too much.
If he wasn't starting off with his infidelity, we wouldn't be here today. He started everything, and I was, like I said, there for day one. Take care of this man. I do it all honor. To this day, still do it. And it's not fair. And all I wanted was my family.
So you do want your family?
It's a good thing Mrs. Peebles can recognize that their marriage has reached its end. The situation is just too messy to come back from. With the baby mama, Amiria, whom Mr. Peebles can't even bring himself to look at, and another baby on the way, what's the way forward? You know what? Let's just find out what the results say and move on.
Mr. Peebles, you are the father.
Just take care of your responsibility. Help me out. Start helping me out. I ain't dumb.
Mrs. Hendricks, the shoe is now on the other foot. Your husband is accusing you of cheating and says he is not the father of your 1-month-old baby, Chris Jr. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. and Mrs. Hendricks have been in couples court before, with Mrs. Hendricks accusing her husband of cheating. Now, the tables have turned. Mr. Hendricks suspects his wife of being unfaithful and is contesting the paternity of her 1-month-old son, Chris Jr. He's also requesting a lie detector test to uncover the full extent of her infidelity.
I'm very pissed off because he's your twin. I mean, he's his twin.
And you don't think he has any reason to deny the child?
No, I mean, I was very honest with him with what happened before, and he has taken it to the extent of denying our son, even though I've done everything he wanted me to do.
Mr. Hendricks expected to feel a paternal bond with baby Chris, but he doesn't. He's convinced the child isn't his, claiming they don't even look alike. This deeply hurts Mrs. Hendricks, as she believes Chris is the spitting image of her husband. According to her, his mistrust comes from her being honest about what happened. The only question now is, what happened?
Last September, his Facebook messages were coming to my phone, and it was one of his coworkers, and she was saying very sexual things to him. About 10 days later, I had found out that I had endometrial cancer.
After Mrs. Hendricks' cancer diagnosis, she told herself, I'm gonna live each day like it's my last. That led her to doing everything a married woman shouldn't. To make things worse, she barely came home, only stopping by to shower, get dressed, and head back out. And yes, of course, she justified all of this because she was convinced her husband was cheating.
We had everybody over at our house drinking. We had started working out our issues. I came into the room, and they were already into a conversation.
Who are they? Who's they?
Carrie and her...
Miss
well,
Hendricks
yes,
and a family member.
And a family member.
Okay.
So I was like, so what is it that you're supposed to tell me?
This couple might not be the best storytellers because their story is a bit hard to follow. Mr. Hendricks became suspicious of his wife's infidelity after a family member hinted at it. Mrs. Hendricks isn't exactly denying it, but she can't remember the details because she was too drunk at the time. She does, however, recall kissing a particular gentleman.
Do you tell Mr. Hendricks immediately, I'm pregnant?
I was I had actually went into the emergency room because I had an internal hernia. Well, My surgeon had ordered a pregnancy test, all this, because if I had to go in for surgery. So they came back and said, you do realize you're very early pregnant. My HCG level was only 22. So, he had just implanted.
Mrs. Hendricks insists she was completely honest and even called her husband when she got drunk, which was a good, respectful move. But her husband left her at that party, and he claims she has no memory of what happened afterward. Anything could have happened. With their fertility and medical issues in the mix, Mr. Hendricks' doubts are in overdrive. He believes something just isn't adding up.
You don't have any
His
of
ears
the
are small.
characteristics
He was
that I
premature.
have.
So you're saying there are
Nothing.
physical characteristics you don't see, and I can see as you talk about this, Mr. Hendricks, it really upsets you.
It does, because I lost both my fathers, and I want my last name to go on. When I pass, I'm not seeing it with this one.
Mr. Hendricks was so disturbed about this baby's paternity that he paid for a 4D ultrasound while Mrs. Hendricks was still pregnant. Poor baby Chris has been under the microscope even before making his debut into the world. After his birth, Mr. Hendricks noticed the baby didn't have a spot on the ear that he and his other kids have. On top of that, the baby has a blood disorder that neither he nor his other kids have. He has a long list to back up his doubts.
Mr. Hendricks, I can see this really affects you.
This family is my planet. It's what I breathe. This one here just completes my solar system, you know what I mean?
So you want this to be your child.
130%. I want him to be mine, so we could be happy again.
It's touching that Mr. Hendricks wants Chris to be his. He loves his family and hopes they can move past all these issues. Is baby Chris the product of the love they all share, or the result of a drunken YOLO night? The results are in. Let's find out.
Mr. Hendricks, you are the father.
I told you had no reason. You didn't need to doubt me.
Ms. Hayes, you say that your sister, the defendant, claims to have a child with your husband of 10 years, and you have petitioned the court for a paternity test. And you are here to warn her that when he finds out her baby is not his today, she'll probably never hear from him again.
Now, this case is one for the books. The Hayes sisters are in court today arguing over the paternity of one sister's child. And guess who the father in question is? The husband of the other sister. No matter what the results reveal or who they favor, it's clear the sisters will end up cutting ties.
Ms. Hayes, how did your sister steal your husband?
I came home and found him and her in our bed naked. And I just, I can't believe it after everything I've done for her. I knew that they were sleeping together, but to put it in my face and be in my bed and me walk in and catch them naked, why would it be any different? She slept with my first husband and my second husband.
Wait, what? So the younger Ms. Hayes, Shauna, slept with her big sister's first husband, then the second, and now the third? Is that some kind of curse or something? How did they end up in the same situation 3 times in a row? And now it's led to a pregnancy. There has to be an explanation.
I've had custody of this girl since she was 11. The choices that she made between our dad and her mom led her into drugs, prostitution, everything else. The latest time that I rescued you, I helped you get clean.
Yes, Your Honor,
I went
she
to
did.
Chicago after not hearing from her for 7 years.
Shauna had a rough childhood, and her big sister was the one who took care of her and helped her get sober. So, Shauna's instability seems to be the reason behind her affairs with her sister's husbands. While this clears up the story a bit, it's still bizarre that it happened 3 times. What kind of men did Ms. Hayes marry that would sleep with their wife's sister?
At
Time
some point,
together.
she says, Corey, make my sister feel like a woman. I'm sorry. Maybe she did it for my best
He
interest.
came to me,
Yeah.
and I said, do what you do. But anybody that was respectful would have said,
I just said
you're
I
my
didn't know how to
sister's
respect
husband.
myself.
Oh my goodness. Ms. Hayes gave her husband away to her sister? She actually gave him the go-ahead to sleep with her because he had already been unfaithful with so many other women. That doesn't make any sense, no matter how you try to look at it.
Let them go off into the sunset, into this relationship, and they're together. Why do you think he's
He
not
has
the
a
father?
6-year-old son. Well, actually, he's older than 6 now. And he raised a son that he believed was his for 6 years.
These 2 sisters definitely need counseling. There's something about their relationship that needs serious fixing. And even more than the ex-addict sister, the older sister needs help. How do you stay with a man who not only slept with your sister, but has also been involved with so many other women that he's part of multiple paternity disputes? At this point, it seems like every woman but her has a child with her husband.
Stand at the podium. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here today. So there are questions that you may not be this beautiful little girl's father. Now, are you also in question about that?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not gonna lie. Deep down inside, I do have some doubts, and that is because of, I've been through this situation twice before.
So Mr. Corey is now in the picture, and he and Shauna are in some sort of relationship. Talk about husband snatching. But the ironic part of all this is that even he doesn't believe Kayla is his and hasn't signed her birth certificate. While his reasons might be somewhat valid, it just shows there's no trust in this relationship with Shauna.
You also stated to the court, Ms. Hayes, that in all the years that you were together with Mr. Hill, he never got you pregnant.
No. And the
Okay,
other 25 women that he carried on with for long-term relationships.
No, you just jealous of us and you want to take the baby. That's what that is.
I don't want your baby. I don't want Kayla.
I didn't say you wanted to have the baby.
Yes, Judge, things are really going all over the place. There's so much contempt from both sides, but who's surprised? No woman on the planet would be okay with her sister stealing her husband. Definitely not. And given Shauna's reckless past, it's understandable why her sister is worried about Kayla's well-being.
And I am not hearing where, with everything that's happened with you two, where you have created some reasonably safe boundaries, like, okay, I'm okay that you're with my ex-husband now, but this is what we need to do.
It's not about a man.
For my baby.
It's not, trust me, and it ain't about him.
So
I'm married to somebody else.
So now you're married to someone else.
Divorce him.
The older Ms. Hayes is already married to someone else. Let's just hope Shauna stays away from this one. But that's not even the biggest issue here. The real problem is Ms. Hayes hasn't divorced Corey, so technically she's married to two men, one living with her and the other living with her sister. Haha, these women are unbelievable.
I looked at a beautiful little girl on this screen, and all I can think is she deserves more than this.
She deserves family. She shouldn't just have to be around them two.
At the end of the day, this court is concerned with the best interest of this child.
Kayla definitely deserves more than what she's getting from them. They all need to step up, and despite their resentment, the sisters may have to rebuild their relationship to raise her together, no matter what the results reveal. Let's see if Corey is really her father. The results are in.
Mr. Hill, you are her father. Miss Campbell, you're here desperate to learn if the man you're in love with is indeed your 3-week-old daughter's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Rogers, you're a married man, and all this isn't a doubt. You say it would break your heart if you found out today that you're not Anna Gale's.
Miss Campbell is in love with Mr. Rogers and is hoping her 3-week-old child is his. Mr. Rogers feels the same, but here's the twist. Mr. Rogers is married, and to complicate things even more, Miss Campbell is in a relationship with his wife. Yes, we're just as shocked as you are.
Tell the court about this relationship with your two wives, as you call them.
Me and Angela known each other. We've been married for 20 years. And we met Gracie, we worked at, and kind of hit it off together. She brought into the relationship.
So essentially, they're living in a polygamous arrangement, as both women consider themselves Mr. Rogers' wife. The three of them share a bed, and Mr. Rogers and his wife Angela already have 3 sons together. He also has a 2-year-old son with Miss Campbell, and now there's a possibility that this new baby is his too. Suddenly, it doesn't seem as complicated, right?
I did not particularly want to go. Finally, because I love her, I relented and I went. When we get there, I thought it was just a regular club. It looked normal. I mean, other than it was a swingers club.
I say, well, we shouldn't have sex.
It's one thing to have your wife cheat on you, it's another thing to have your 2 wives cheat on you, and with the same guy at the same time. Mr. Rogers must not have liked that at all. Oh, the pain he must have felt when he realized both wives had agreed to go to a swingers club and had done something of this sort.
As you look at baby Anna Gale, do you feel like she's yours?
I want her to be mine. I see her every day. I try to spend as much time with her as I can. Work, she wakes up, I get her.
After you knew all, you still come home from work and to do is spend time, baby girl and your children.
Yes.
Mr. Rogers does seem like a decent man. It's unfair that the 2 women betrayed his trust, especially since he appears committed to them. Despite the doubts about the child's paternity, he's stepped up and taken responsibility simply because he understands the impact of growing up without a father. That's a good man right there.
Of course, you know, you might not be the father, but I hope that you are.
Find out about this incident.
Well, it was about the whole time going through this, you know, I was there, I went to the doctor's visits.
Ms. Campbell's approximated conception date is a day after their little rendezvous with a stranger at the club. That is pretty close. Now, both women had agreed they would keep this secret between themselves until Miss Campbell was reckless with her phone, and Mr. Rogers found her texting a friend about it on Facebook.
Truth is you all created this fet. What you've done is tearing.
I hurt my best friend.
Let me ask you a question. If I hadn't seen that message, would I have known?
No.
To be fair, the three had managed to build a beautiful family out of their polyamorous relationship. It's just sad that the women had to ruin it in the name of being adventurous, as if their relationship wasn't adventurous enough. And what's this about there being another paternity issue surrounding Angela and Mr. Rogers' teenage son?
You know him as dad, biological father, is that correct?
Yes.
And you want the answer to treat this as two different cases. Is that okay? I think that's the best way. Jerome, may I have the first result? Mr. Rogers, you are her father.
So, we have two cases on our hands now, which is quite unusual. The first has been settled, now we have to move to the other. Mr. Rogers has played by the rules. Rather than cheat on his wife, he let her bring in the woman and committed to both of them. But on 2 occasions, both women have given him reason to doubt if he's just being misled.
So a little while after that, my parents came up and told me pretty much that my dad.
After the diagnosis?
I have some paper evidence here that talks about Crohn's disease, and it explains that it's pretty much hereditary.
It took Austin, their 18-year-old son, getting ill for them to tell him his paternity is debatable. That may not necessarily be a bad thing, but it must have been so sad for the poor boy to find out that way. Children always bear the brunt of their parents' infidelity, and that is just heartbreaking.
You know, I cheated, and he might not biologically, but that don't mean nothing. Real parents are raised, and they say, I want to be there, and that's what we do.
That was quite emotional. From the moment you heard Mr. Rogers speak, you could tell he's a good dad. He's tried his best for his family, but it seems like his best may have just gone to waste. Let's find out who Austin's father is.
Mr. Rogers, you've waited 18 years for these results, and the wait is over. You are his father. Ms. Lima, you admit to making a huge mistake and hope it doesn't affect your baby Christina. You had an affair with Mr. Anderson, who is married, and believe he's your daughter's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lima made a terrible mistake by getting into an affair with Mr. Anderson, who is married. The affair resulted in a baby. Mr. Anderson is hoping he is not the father of this child because his life and marriage are on the line. Let's find out more.
Yes, Your Honor. It all started from a Facebook message when Mr. Anderson was messaging me on Facebook. So we started being friends online for about 1.5 years. Then out of the blue one day, he called me and said, let's go out for dinner. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not doing anything, so why not? We went out to dinner and we got a hotel room that night. We had.
That is indeed wild. Mr. Anderson kept his marriage hidden for a whole year, and a decade-long marriage at that. You've got to admit, he's quite slick with it. Now, poor Ms. Lima finds herself tied to a married man with a baby in the mix. You really can't blame her either. She had no clue. What a messy situation.
I just want to say I'm sorry to my wife and my family and my kids.
I believe you are sorry.
Your Honor, it was a big mistake. And, I really want my marriage, and I want my marriage to work. But
and
it started.
I see your wife next to you, and I feel her pain.
Here's a question. If Mr. Anderson loves his family as much as he claims, why did he cheat? But putting that aside for a moment, there's a bit of confusion here. Ms. Lima mentioned they were together for 1 year, but was she talking about their online relationship? Because Mr. Anderson is adamant that they only spent 1 night together, and then she appeared months later saying she was pregnant. Something doesn't add up.
That's wrong, Your Honor. That's wrong.
How often would you see Mr. Anderson?
We've seen each other for 2 years, every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays.
Was it strange to you that you only saw him on Saturdays and Sundays, or you thought he was working during the week?
Not really, because I went to his house numerous of times, but...
Wait, excuse me.
This man is a stone-cold liar. He keeps saying it was just a one-night stand, but the truth is, they were involved for 2 years, and Ms. Lima was even coming to his house. Can you imagine that? Cheating on his wife right under their own roof? The audacity to stand here and still claim he loves his wife? It's just unreal.
You got this young woman over here describing your furniture, and that's a problem to any woman. I'm mad for her.
She's looking for some money. She's looking for a cash out.
That's not the case at all.
Tell him, Judge Lauren. This man seriously messed up by bringing another woman into his home. And now, he has the nerve to act like the victim? Whether or not Ms. Lima is here for the money, he is the one who brought this situation upon himself. He brought her into his life, into his home. Now, it's time to own up to the mess he made.
First, I couldn't contact him, so I went to his family, and I got rejected by them. So I was like, well, that really hurted me. So I was just like, well, let me move to the other person that I had sex with during that time.
Oh, hold on. Let me understand this. So you did sleep with another man during the window of conception during that time?
Correct.
Mr. Anderson's butt has been exposed. There's no redemption for him anymore. Ms. Lima slept with someone else during the window of conception and had moved to him after being rejected by Mr. Anderson and his family. But why on earth did she and Mr. Anderson hook up again while she was 4 months pregnant?
Clearly he lied to me because when I confronted him about it the first time, he told me they had sex one time. It shouldn't have been no time. It shouldn't have been no times. Even after you found out that he was married, you should have left him alone.
Okay.
Mrs. Anderson is so disappointed and heartbroken. Her husband had lied to her, claiming it was a one-time thing. After 5 children and 10 years together, you can't help but feel her pain. How could she trust this man who brought a stranger into their home and lied about it? How can they ever move past this?
Well, the situation was when I first met Mrs. Lima, we met at a gas station. Come February, I took her flowers to a job site, took her out to eat on Valentine's Day.
Mr. Scott is the other man in question. He knew he might not be the father of Ms. Lima's baby, but he stayed with her regardless, taking care of her throughout the pregnancy. And yet, Ms. Lima still hooked up with Mr. Anderson, who hadn't contributed a single thing during her pregnancy. It's baffling, to say the least.
Do you feel like she looks like one man or the other?
Mr. Anderson has a child that she looks exactly like her, like the way her eyes is.
You know what his kids look like?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson has completely shattered his marriage. He might as well just kiss his wife goodbye. She keeps finding out more and more about his betrayal in the courtroom. He took his kids to see his mistress, and his wife had no idea. That is just terrible. Poor Mrs. Anderson, living in the shadows all this time.
Do you want this to be your child's father?
Yes.
Or do you want this to be your child's father?
No, you don't.
I want Mr. Anderson to be my child's father. He's more stable.
You want the baby dad to be the baby dad, and it's not him.
No,
It really is a nightmare. Moving forward, Mrs. Anderson should direct her anger at the right person, her husband. He cheated on her, so she should focus on him, not Ms. Lima. Let's see what the DNA results say.
Mr. Scott, you are not her father. Pertaining to whether Mr. Anderson,
Yes, Your Honor.
you are not her father. Mr. Johnson, you are here with your wife, but you are positive her newborn daughter, Diari, is not your biological child. You have petitioned this court to grant you a paternity test so you can get your name removed from the birth certificate. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. and Mrs. Johnson are in court today concerning their newborn daughter. Mr. Johnson believes the child is not his and wants his name removed from her birth certificate. Mrs. Johnson, however, is confident her husband is the baby's father and is here today to prove it.
Do you need the test so badly?
Because I mean, I wanna be for sure. I take care of all my kids. My name is on the birth certificate. I don't want a child to have my last name if it's really not mine.
And because you're married, you're on the birth certificate because the child was born within the marriage.
Of course. Half of the time I don't want to be there. I don't want to assist with the child. I don't want to do too much as far as fathering goes because, I mean, I'm really not sure.
Mr. Johnson is so convinced baby Diari isn't his that he's distancing himself from his family. To avoid getting attached and eventually hurt, he refuses to build a relationship with her. The only reason he signed the birth certificate was because he had to. This must be incredibly hard for Mrs. Johnson to deal with.
We always had a rocky relationship. 10 years, separated numerous times. Mostly because of me. I was always in the streets. This was like a normal thing for me. Being in the streets, being gone, you know, dealing with other women. It was always, I never really cared the way I should.
Yes, we have to give it to Mr. Johnson for being honest. It's rare to see this level of accountability in paternity court. He admits their relationship had a rocky start, and it was all because of him. He couldn't stay away from the streets or stop himself from cheating, but after 10 years together, they've made it work. Now, only baby Diari's paternity could bring their decade-long relationship to an end.
So, Ms. Johnson, your husband's testified that a lot of the reason why you got to this point is because of him. What happened?
When we first separated, it was just because of infidelity. Finding numbers in his phone, finding pictures, like all types of stuff just was happening. It felt like he didn't care.
One of the reasons for Mr. Johnson's infidelity was his job. As an artist, he worked predominantly with women, which led to temptation, but that's no excuse. Their constant arguments over this made things worse, and when Mrs. Johnson had a miscarriage, she was left to deal with it on her own. After that, they separated for a year.
Well, during the separation, I just was
doing her and I was doing me, and we weren't planning on getting back together.
And so you were out dating?
Dating, yeah.
And having sex?
Yes.
And you were with multiple people, one person?
Just one person.
With one person?
Yes.
After 1 year of being with someone else, Mrs. Johnson came back into his life for the sake of their family. Family is important, you know? There's nothing like a household with both parents actively in their lives, so her coming back is understandable. But Diari came into the picture and things fell apart once again.
Maybe about 2 weeks or something like that.
After the
she came back,
reconciliation.
yeah. And I was excited.
I was scared.
Because
I know I had sex with somebody else.
So he was excited and you were scared.
Yes.
The awful thing about a couple like this cheating on one another or being with other people is that the woman is the only one who could end up with something such as pregnancy. Mr. Johnson would definitely have been with other women during that break, just like his wife. But now, because she became pregnant, her affair is a bigger deal.
The testimony presented before me today, this court has determined that there is sufficient evidence to order paternity testing in this case. We will reconvene after both of you submit to DNA testing done by our laboratory.
This adds extra suspense to the case. The DNA test has been approved to be carried out. All they have to do is wait. They also have to consult with a psychologist who counsels them and advises them to prepare for whatever the result reveals. They have other children together, so this could be a major blow to their family.
Court is back in session in the case of Johnson versus Johnson. In our earlier hearing, I found that there was sufficient evidence to order both of you to submit to DNA testing at our laboratory. Since our last hearing, what has gone through your mind?
No matter what the outcome is, I just want to be able to deal with it. That's all.
How about you, Miss Johnson?
Well, I've been nervous, kind of scared.
Mr. Johnson has been a serial cheater, yet the one time his wife is with someone else, this whole drama unfolds. What makes it worse is that the other guy doesn't seem interested in the baby at all. If Diari turns out to be his, will he even step up? We can only hope they can handle whatever the results reveal. Let's find out.
Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
That's great news. Absolutely.
Mr. Threlkeld, you have entered this courtroom with a marriage on the brink of divorce. You state that while you were out of the country serving in the military, your wife paraded around town with other men, and she has admitted to cheating multiple times. You claim you are not sure if you are the father of her third child, 18-month-old Liliana, and have asked the court for a paternity test.
Yes, ma'am. A few indiscretions? Haha. That is hilarious. Mr. Threlkeld tells the courtroom that his wife has admitted to cheating on him more than once, and at this point he just wants to know if he is the father of the child.
So I thought we were gonna, settle it. Well, it turns out his wife and my wife were friends, and she had found out that she was actually stripping as we spoke. And at the time, I found out about it. I thought, it was all just a hoax. So I went, calmly to the internet lounge, got on Facebook and asked her, hey, is it true you're doing what I told you I didn't want you doing at all? And she didn't really say anything, honestly.
She was posting these pictures while still being married to Mr. Threlkeld? Yeah, I would have ended the marriage a long time ago. I mean, what excuse or logical explanation could she have for deciding to be a stripper?
I could somewhat deal with, tell me about this guy that's going on. And she says, oh, it's nothing, it's just a friend, etc. The same BS that every girl says.
First of all, we were done. He hacked my Facebook. He invaded my privacy, and he looked into my stuff, into my messages. So that's how we found out.
Oh my god, how can she do such a thing? I mean, if she was tired of the marriage, she should have just ended the whole thing. Why stay in a marriage and then go on to disrespect her husband in such a way? That's just awful.
First of all, we were done. We were not together. We had a phone conversation, and he had said, we're gonna get a divorce, and I'll send you the divorce papers. And then we hung up. And let me finish.
What had happened was, when I was with Paternity, we got in a phone argument, like she said, on Skype. And I told her, look, if you're gonna strip after me and you, I've already gone through the discussion that you're not to do it until I get back, and we'll talk about it then.
That doesn't even make sense. She needs more money for what exactly? Mr. Threlkeld literally makes enough to sort out whatever she needs. So what exactly does she need the extra money for? That has got to be the dumbest excuse I have ever heard.
In a month,
I had to
tax
have
free.
it mainly.
This is what I'm trying to understand. Ms. Threlkeld, you say you guys were done.
Yes.
So in other words, these things that he's finding on your Facebook and these indiscretions you're telling him about, this really shouldn't be an issue because in your mind, you thought your marriage was over.
Stuff as it may be.
Yes.
Now that explains it. Looks like she was already tired of the marriage, and this was just an excuse for her to finally get what she wanted. Sad. I honestly feel really sad for Mr. Threlkeld.
To make matters worse, ma'am, when I actually went out the day I was supposed to come back home from overseas, we were told before we even got on the plane at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, that there's going to be the color guard, the motorcycles that drive, in front. The news was going to be there. I get there and not my father, my mother, my wife, like I said, we'll quote that, weren't even there. We get there, you know, they call everybody's names up, everybody's clapping and cheering. They come to my name and it's just dead quiet.
At this point, can it get any worse for Mr. Threlkeld? He tells the judge that while everyone was returning home from the army, his wife and kids were nowhere to be found. Mrs. Threlkeld couldn't even pick up her husband from the airport.
See, you know, when she picked me
Yes,
up,
I did.
she came dressed in her clear hooker shoes and this.
Hooker shoe.
That's one whole outfit?
I think it's a dress is what they call it. I don't know.
Yes.
She's in clear shoes with money still in them. And
Okay, that was for decoration.
So you come home, Mr. Threlkeld, and your wife and your family aren't there. But she eventually does pick you up.
Honestly, I won't put anything past Mrs. Threlkeld. If she can pick up her husband while wearing her stripper outfit, there's honestly nothing she can't do. It must honestly suck to be in Mr. Threlkeld's shoes right now.
Snatched the phone from her and I started going through it. And as I was looking through it, there was a number that she'd called like 13 times. So I called him right back. And he answers the phone, hey, you know, I said, who is this? Are you the one that's been my wife? He said, yes, I've been. And now her defense, she starts laughing, saying, ha, I knew he was just going to say that. He's just saying that to make you mad. And it was ridiculous. I mean, you know, that was just the only
So
defense.
when he calls the guy on the phone, you deny.
Unbelievable. That is just unbelievable. She couldn't even wait to be properly divorced before getting a boyfriend. What even hurts the most is the fact that she does not feel any remorse for what she has done. I honestly doubt Mr. Threlkeld is the father of the child.
Being home.
All right, we keep skipping the event or events that led to the conception
Actually, ma'am,
of your last child in which you feel you may or may not be the father.
well, I was
Why don't
actually,
you just be quiet?
when I was overseas and I found out about her stripping and her cheating, there was a few options that came across my head of how I should deal with it.
How was he expecting that to work? I mean, she already started to strip while he was in the army and somehow managed to keep it a secret from him. Did he really expect that getting her pregnant would make her stay in the marriage? Come on, Mr. Threlkeld.
When it comes closer to actually doing it, she starts, you know, getting nervous. I could start telling from body language and, you know, tone of her voice, she was getting nervous.
We don't need a lie detector test. We just need communication. There's no
She
reason.
tells me straight out.
What happened?
She tells me straight out about the people that she actually cheated on me with. Right after our first daughter, she cheated on me with a guy when she was going to cosmetology school. On her way to cosmetology school, she goes to his house.
If you ask me, Mrs. Threlkeld has to be the most disgusting and shameful woman to ever walk into the paternity courtroom. I think we've heard enough of her yapping and immoralities. Let's see what the DNA results have in stock for us.
Mr. Threlkeld, you are Liliana's father.
Mrs. White claims that the only way to save her marriage and family is to prove to her husband he is the father of their 3-year-old daughter. She admits to cheating on him, but hopes that he won't leave her when he finds out the child belongs to him. Well, here's how the case starts.
Ms. White, you've opened your case because your last and only way to save your marriage and family is to prove to your husband that he fathered your 3-year-old daughter, Savannah.
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit you've cheated in the past, but hope once the results are revealed, your husband will trust you again. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Her marriage is definitely hanging on by a thread. Her husband doesn't even look like he wants to be in that courtroom. All he wants is to know if he's the dad. It does seem like he loves the child, though. Or could that be a lie?
Just the other day, she was at my mother's, and she woke up and she asked, where's Daddy?
And I can see this is just tearing you apart.
It is.
It's just eating away at you. I can see that. Explain to the court how it has been for 3 years to have doubt.
It's been rough and emotional because when it first all come about to where I had the suspicions, it was she was having an ex-boyfriend come over while I was at work.
She was having an argument with her husband, and she called another guy to come to the house? Who does that? I mean, what was she thinking? That the guy she was cheating with would come to her rescue? That's just hilarious.
You just don't have any trust in this relationship.
No, because from a week after we got married until February of this year, I've been catching her cheating constantly.
A week after you got married?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. White, have you been cheating?
Yes, but I have like abandonment issues because I was adopted. So like if he's not showing me the love and affection that I need.
Talk about a woman who lives her life with 100% delusion. She wants her husband to hold her hand in public, but she thinks he's going to do that when she cheats. What's even funnier is the fact that she blames it on abandonment issues. Like that's gonna cut it.
Find out for sure until she admittedly told me when Savannah was 6 months old that there was a 50-50 chance that Savannah wasn't mine.
And how did you get to a place where you decide you're gonna tell him, Ms. White?
We got into an argument and we ended up splitting up, and I was over at my mom's house, and he said the only way I could come back into the house is if I was to admit everything and just be honest.
Seems to me like he really loves her. If I were to be in his shoes and I caught her cheating, even if it was just once, boy, I'm out of that relationship. She should know better than to disrespect her husband.
And I was pissed off, but and at the same time, it was kind of a relief because I knew for a fact that it was actually happening. It wasn't just, oh, it's an assumption, I don't know for a fact. But I think more than anything that I was more hurt because I done got attached to her 6 months old.
Isn't he just a perfect man? He literally does everything to make sure his kids and Mrs. White are always taken care of. It just sucks that she had to cheat on him and break his heart. He deserves better than this.
I have text messages proof right here of the most recent is Valentine's Day. She went to another man's house while I'm sitting at the house with the kids.
Well, that's because you didn't even get me anything, and you were just yelling at me. You were treating me like crap and was gonna go to a friend's house, so.
Because you were saying you were going to a park at 9 o'clock at night.
Oh, she did not just say that. Who leaves her family on Valentine's Day and decides they want to go to a park by 9 in the night? Yo, this woman needs some serious scolding.
White says, my body's naked, wishing you was in this bed with me. The ex-boyfriend texts back, LOL, you are crazy, about to call you in a minute. Your wife says, LMAO, could you do that for me? Miss White, why are you so quiet? Why are you texting your ex-boyfriend these things?
Because he don't treat me right.
Sometimes these ladies just don't know when they take things to the very extreme. She's sending this type of text to her ex-boyfriend, and she's saying her husband isn't treating her right? I honestly won't blame him if he doesn't, if we're being honest.
It says, you can bring me some cigs, LOL, Al's a blank, and give me a Valentine's Day treat, cause Al not gonna do blank. Ex-boyfriend responds, LOL, you are a nut. I'll give you a call when I get a chance, here in a little bit.
Is she being serious? I mean, if she doesn't want to be in the marriage, she might as well just say so rather than going about and telling different men she wants to sleep with them. Even Judge Lauren can't hide her irritation.
Happy Valentine's Day. How did you find out about this, Mr. White?
When on Valentine's Day, when I found the text message, I took the entire phone. And I still have possession of the phone at my house. That has all the pictures, all the text messages, all the calls, everything.
I am beyond speechless. As if the text messages with other guys were not enough. She even has pictures where she's naked. This is enough grounds for a divorce. It doesn't seem like she really wants to fix the marriage, if you ask me.
You're saying you're not getting what you need in the marriage. So why not just leave the marriage? Why keep doing this if you are gonna engage in this type of activity?
Well, I called the court just so I can get the result of the kids in Savannah and just move on with our lives, and no more cheating, no more nothing, just us taking care of the kids.
And somehow, it feels like she might end up cheating if the kid belongs to Mr. White. Oh well, the DNA results are ready. Let's get to the bottom of all of this, shall we?
Mr. White, you are her father.
Ms. Stembridge slept with her boyfriend's best friend and roommate. At least this is Mr. Buchanan's argument today in court, and they did it while he was locked up too. Ms. Stembridge adds that he has trust issues with respect to women, so he does not trust her anymore, but she promises him that the baby is his.
That's why I was sleeping with your girl while you locked up.
Okay, that wasn't exactly the news you wanted to hear, right?
Nah, not really, no. And who wants to hear that? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take that serious. You know, I'm a serious kind of guy. I expect people to be able to...
Okay, so this man trusted her to some extent, at least. Now, what exactly is wrong? What went wrong between the two? How did we get from this phase up until where you do not trust your girlfriend with your own best friend? To top it all off, you find yourself in paternity court over this drama.
Which is breaking the brother code, all right? You don't drink. I don't care if it's a supermodel. You ain't drinking. This must supposed to be my best friend. You know, you had the right to say, all right? If
so
it's
you
peer
blaming?
Whoa, so all the responsibility is on her now. All the blame is placed on Ms. Stembridge. It's understandable because she is the one in the relationship, not the best friend. Regardless of all of this, saying that he doesn't blame Eric for anything is quite interesting, because whatever happened to bro code,
I was cool with that. I threw that out the window, all right? Cool. You had a few beers, I can understand. That's cool, I understand, all right? But then, check this out, all right? She kind of picked me up. She kind of picked me up, all right? We get home, or we on the way home, and I'm looking at them, they both nervous.
oh, now we're getting to it. He finds out that they have been drinking some more, and he did not hear about it. Looks like he thought that it was simply a one-time thing. But wait a minute, if these two left the drinks lying around so casually, does that not not mean they have nothing to hide?
She told me about the beer, so when you picked me up, why didn't you fair warn me about the liquor before I got home? Why are you gonna let me find out by myself? Because you forgot. Because you forgot.
I didn't forget too much. It was still there, weren't it? I didn't forget too much.
First, the best friend tells you he slept with your girl.
Looks like this man was really hurt by those lemon drops. He really said that if she's drinking some lemon drops with him, he doesn't need to hear that Ms. Stembridge is drinking those lemon drops with another man, especially after figuring out how wild she gets after drinking. Said lemon drops.
From my ex, all right? My ex is who I was dating before her. All right, I get a phone call. I'm like, yeah, what's up, okay? Oh, I need to check my girl. Why I need to check my girl? Nah, you need to check your girl. She was laid up in your best friend's bed while you were locked up.
Whoops, what a duo these two. Now he's telling us about how short her shorts were while he was not there. Also, she was lying down in the same bed, in the same room, in the same house that the three of them share. Really, Mr. Buchanan? Are you really going on like this?
Guys, come on, up to the podium, please. Now, Mr. Buchanan says that you witnessed firsthand some very inappropriate behavior.
That was not going on, Your Honor.
What exactly did you witness?
Did I witness when I walked in?
Whoa, okay, Mr. Buchanan. Mrs. Stembridge is looking at this woman with eyes that scream, look what the cat dragged in. If you're going to be in court today telling us about how much you love and appreciate your ex, maybe we should take a short drive to couples court right after this.
Every night to go to sleep unless she has me laying in that bed with her.
He is a great father,
You
Your
have tears
Honor.
in your eyes as
Yeah, that's my life.
not your biological daughter. What will you do?
If it ain't mine,
So these two women definitely will not survive being left alone in a small room for 2 minutes. What is the problem here? How do we get to the bottom and very beginning of their fight? Mr. Buchanan is definitely gonna have to just pick a side because they cannot keep living like this. Phew.
Your girlfriend or your ex? Now, the problem is this. We're down and you were to know what to believe, to talk to, and she could tell you what she maybe or maybe not saw. You have Ms. McNeil in your ear.
Would you take a look at that? He's such a good father to the baby girl and he wants her so bad. Now, is that his biological daughter or not? Has Ms. Stembridge really been sleeping around or has she not? We can only hope not, but we'll be sure when we see the results.
Mr. Buchanan, you are.
Thank you.
that's a blessing.
Ms. Petty has been sleeping with two men simultaneously, using one to get back at her ex and at the same time keeping him in her life because of the baby she already has for him. What a woman. Could there be more to the story? I guess we're going to find out. This is about to be one hell of a case.
The reason I doubt her is because she was sleeping around with me and Peter at the same time. The only reason I started messing around with her was to get my son.
You have an older child together, so you were messing around with her to get him.
The way you gotta...
Whoops. After having the older child together, they had the option of staying together and raising the boy. They obviously did not take that option. Ms. Petty moved on with another man too, so why in hell and in the heavens did they keep messing around with one another? It honestly makes zero sense. I mean, were they not thinking there could be consequences?
I mean, she was on birth control. I tried to stop messing with her, but every time I stopped messing with her, she'll go ahead and bring like, well, you can't see your son and all this. You ain't gonna be able to, I don't want him to come
And
over
when
there
you
because
refer
it's
to
unsafe.
Peter, that's Mr. Daniel.
Yes, Mr. Daniel, my bad.
Your contention is that he never really got over you and...
Oh, Ms. Petty. Surely the entire concept of commitment must be too much for your pretty head. If you choose a man, the whole point of it all is to stay with that one man. Nothing like staying with the man and still going back to your ex-boyfriend. But here we are.
And they were sleeping with each other unprotected.
All right, let's calm down. Let's calm down. I want to look at this young lady because I feel like I'm watching a tennis match. My neck's just going back and forth and back and forth, and you right here in the middle.
Well, well, well. Look at both of them go. It's so difficult for Judge Lake to get a word in as it is. If Ms. Petty claims that her current boyfriend put his name on the certificate because he knows the lies Stefan told her, how come she's still sitting at his feet, eating up all those lies? Those lies have to taste hella good, if you know what I mean.
He don't care no way. He don't want to be around for the chance, like, to get to know him. He avoided child support. He avoided DNA testing for my daughter. In St. Louis, I told him.
Whoa, Ms. Petty really thinks that he already knows in his gut and is trying to run away from his responsibilities. What if he doesn't, though? What if he's just a man that keeps projecting off of the fact that he really does not know if it's his baby or not?
I was afraid I was going to hear that.
All she was trying to do was break a relationship. She was just trying to break up my relationship.
How am I breaking up his relationship?
Because anytime.
Okay, I didn't call you
Mr.
and say
Ball.
come over and have sex. You called me, I'm coming to get my son, but
Oh my goodness, she's been doing what? Does her current boyfriend even know about this? Oh, it would simply break him. Why exactly is Mr. Ballet acting like he never did anything wrong too? Talking about how Ms. Petty keeps ruining his relationship. Why did he have to keep sleeping around with his ex as well? Come on, it definitely was consensual sex.
Avoiding the DNA test. He's not avoiding it, but why can't Mr. Daniel take it right then and there?
Because
Why
he
can't
is
you
there.
take
He
it?
is like, if he feel like he's the father, he been there the whole time. All I'm doing is taking care of my son and my daughter.
Well,
that's what I've been doing.
That's really all that matters at this point. They have both taken the DNA test, and the results are with the judge, so neither of the men can run away from the truth right now. But I can't believe that he did not want to take the DNA test because the other guy was already playing the daddy role. I mean, what happens if he turns out to be the father?
Did you know that she had been having a sexual relationship with Mr. Ball as well?
She told me before because of the situation when we got together.
Okay.
So she told me that time
But
when
through
they
the
did.
entire pregnancy, you were there.
You
were there at the birth.
Yes.
You cut the umbilical cord?
Yes.
Of course. She told him about the one time. Now, who knows if it's just one time or if there are more times. After every single moment Mr. Daniels has had with the baby, imagine ripping his heart out of his chest and tearing it to pieces, telling him that he's not the father.
So when's the last time you and Mr. Ball had a sexual relationship?
last week.
It was not last week. The last time we had a sexual relationship is when she said they broke up.
Mr. Daniel, I see you.
What is wrong with these two? Honestly, they are meant for one another, and they need to take their baggage out of Mr. Daniel's life. They were together last week, as per some days ago. Isn't that the most messed up thing? It seems like it would really never end.
Looking around to see what's going on, I see her hand. He's laying down. Her hands is in his boxers.
What? Okay. It's from the look on your face that you all had another sexual encounter that day.
I wasn't even trying to that day.
But not about
I promise you.
Whoa, her hand was where? Surely she wasn't looking for some truth down his boxers. This woman has a loyal and responsible man that loves her and keeps taking all of this. What more does she want? Putting her hands down other men's boxers, searching for God knows what?
If she's not mine, for Mr. Daniel. But if she is mine, custody of both of my children. I ain't gonna lie, I'm a better parent than both of them. Because
He a better parent than both of us.
Yes.
Well, my son was in
What?
the hospital
Oh my-
in the ER. I said, can
my
you
son
please?
is 3 years old.
Well, now both dads want full custody. Isn't that something? Let's find out if the baby belongs to Mr. Daniels or Mr. Hands Down His Boxers. Maybe there's another man whose boxers she was searching for some other truth in. We'll find out today in court. Here are the results.
Mr. Ball, you are her father.
Mr. Murray dragged his wife to court, claiming that while she was away, serving her country in the army, she cheated on him and now believes he is not the father of their child. Ms. Brown Murray, who happens to be his wife, says she is heartbroken because she knows for a fact that he is the father. Well, here's how it all begins.
Today you say you stand before me outraged because your husband has accused you of infidelity while serving in Iraq. Furthermore, you claim he now doubts paternity of your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you can't argue with that. I mean, it's very normal to meet so many guys while in the army, but that doesn't give you the right to kick it in bed with them. But if that's the case, why is her husband having doubts about their child?
I assured him every day. I Skyped with him every day. We would Skype every day, and when I wasn't able to, there was a bomb going off or something that I would have to get in the bunker and for hours and hours. So if there wasn't a time, then I would be in the bunker, and then I would get back to him the next day.
If what she's saying is true, there is a high chance her husband might be in the wrong. She says that while she was in the army, she always spoke to her husband and reassured him that she was being loyal. But yet again, why does he think she cheated on him?
A lot of men's on basically younger men. Keep in mind, I'm 22 years older than my wife. So that has a lot to do with me being guilty or bad conscience.
Because you wanted to be with someone younger.
Yes, I lost 20 pounds not eating.
A real bomb? I'm not even going to deny it. If I were to be in his shoes, I'd want to be with my wife every single minute of the day. That still doesn't explain why he feels the child does not belong to him.
Young boy told me, he said, which really, this is when I really got worried. He said, Harry's world, when they overseas, they have a group of people, and that group got to stay each other. If they're there for 2 years, who are you going to see for 2 years? He said, yeah, there's married people.
Looks like his fears got the best of him when he had that. Mr. Murray told the judge that while his wife was away, he met up with some military men, and they told him things that made him feel like his wife was cheating on him. Mr. Murray is definitely the type of man who thinks a lot.
Mr. Murray, be honest, this situation it's been bothering you. Consuming you so that you've done some research, questions, and trying to figure out
What are the dynamics that go on in the military? And you brought a witness, can attest to just that.
Did he just say he had a witness? Oh, come on. How bad does the overthinking get for you to get a witness in the military who can support his claims? Man, that's just crazy. Well, let's hear what his witness has to say.
Well, first and foremost, I don't want to bring any discredit upon the military because the actions of soldiers, they do not reflect the military. But there are a lot of times where you join the military and you're away from home, and so the first thing you can do is cling to people who are around you. You develop a camaraderie.
Temporarily divorced? Oh, now I see why Mr. Murray has so many doubts. His witness tells the judge that there are certain missions that require their operatives to act or behave in ways that might appear as if they have no family. That must be very intense.
Why is he calling you? Oh, just to make sure I'm doing okay. Make sure you're doing okay? Well, is something wrong? No. And then that was the end of that conversation.
We called each other. He called me because he wanted to make sure I was okay, that I made it home alive. He left the deployment before.
Excuse me, but what did he just say? She said, what? Oh, she has some serious explaining to do. Even I would be pissed as hell if I found myself in such a situation for real. I wonder what her excuse is going to be.
Your husband are being flirtatious. And if anyone would know how you sound are flirting, it would be your husband.
Yes, but that's not the case.
But you weren't flirting.
No.
Seems like she is still sticking to her side of the story. She tells the judge that she wasn't mocking her husband. She was simply talking to a friend over the phone, and her husband misunderstood the whole situation. Could that be the case?
Some of your fellow servicemen, even if they're members of the opposite sex and married, is that common to continue those relationships because of the bonds while you were serving together?
Absolutely, because a lot of times when we go to work.
If we're being honest, looking at the type of man Mr. Murray is, it's not surprising that he thinks his wife might have cheated on him. As much as there are people who betray their marriages by sleeping with someone else, there are other people who stay loyal. The big question now is whether Mrs. Brown Murray is one of those people.
Even with the doubt of good father, he still takes care of her.
I have other kids. All my kids is a split image of me. She doesn't too much look like me. She's bad like me when I was that age.
Well, that could be true, but then again, if the child doesn't look like him, that necessarily doesn't mean he is not the father. But what do we know? I think we'd let the DNA tests reveal the truth. Hopefully he is the father of the child.
That you are her father.
Thank you. Thank you.
My niece.
Ms. Reeves, you are here today to prove that the defendant, Mr. Silva, is the biological father of your 7-month-old son, Legend. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Silva, you were involved in a paternity case on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta in support of your sister, who took a DNA test to prove paternity of her child.
Ms. Reeves, on the other hand, insists that Mr. Silva is the father and is ready to prove it through a DNA test. But this isn't just any ordinary paternity case. No, it's a mess of doubts, accusations, and betrayal.
Ms. Reeves, explain to the court how this paternity doubt has affected your relationship.
Well, it's affected everything in my life. We've been on and off for about 3 years. Right now, every single time I turn around, it's always, oh, are you sure that he's my baby? Are you sure that he's my baby? Yes. I'm 100% sure. Like, why do you keep asking me?
Mr. Silva doesn't just claim his doubts are because of some missed phone calls or vague text messages. Oh no, he's got bigger issues. He admits to growing up with a skewed view of relationships, one where men can conquer women and cheat without consequences. But women, they're not allowed to do the same.
Silva, why do you have doubt?
I just don't trust her, Your Honor. I feel like she's tricking me into believing that I'm Legend's father. I grew up loving women, loving sex.
You grew up loving sex?
To me, I always felt like it was okay for men to go out, have sex, and, cheat, come home to their family, and women can't go out, have sex, and, come home, and especially with a baby.
What could be more ridiculous? He said God made men to conquer, cheat, and come home, while women were just supposed to accept it. Well, it seems Ms. Greaves had a different idea.
Well, Your Honor, I feel like, God created men to conquer, to overrule, and women cannot empower. Women cannot empower men.
What are we on, Game of Thrones?
You see what I do every day?
Oh, what are we talking about?
But let's get to the real juicy part, the pregnancy. According to Mr. Silva, the couple had been broken up for nearly a month when Ms. Reeves announced she was pregnant. And while he was out living his best life, texting multiple women and partying with strangers, she was, allegedly, texting her ex. This, of course, didn't sit well with him.
Why would you expect her to sit at home and allow you to cheat on her?
It's just really the fact that she came home, she came telling me that I'm the father of Legend. And I just, honestly, I don't believe that.
All right, so now let's come out of our hypothetical situation and let's really talk about about real fact. When do you find out you're pregnant, Miss Reeves?
Well, we was broken up at the time, but immediately, as soon as I told him that I was pregnant, he was like, oh, okay, with who?
Ms. Reeves and Mr. Silva have been in an on and off relationship for 3 years, each time hitting the same brick wall. Trust issues. But Mr. Silva, he's adamant that he's been tricked into believing Legend is his. His reasoning? He doesn't trust her and believes she's playing him.
3-4 weeks, a month, and I didn't hear from her. So at the time, she gets booked to model and promote events. And that's what she loved doing. So on her Snapchat, she's turning up, getting lit, with men, drinking, smoking. So how do you expect me to believe that you've been gone for 3-4 weeks?
When he found out she was pregnant, he was already skeptical about the timing. How could he believe he was the father when she'd been out there, living it up with other men? Still, he supported her and signed the birth certificate.
Your Honor, as soon as she told me, I told her who was the father. So I did not believe I was the father, and I was not with her during her pregnancy. I was only there to be supportive during the birth.
So in that moment, despite your doubt, you said, I want to be there at the hospital when the baby
Yes, and throughout the whole time I'm telling her I want a DNA test.
And when it comes to trust, the situation spirals even further. Ms. Reeves says she was faithful, but she has evidence that Mr. Silva was cheating and bad-mouthing her to his mistresses.
See that evidence. Jerome, will you hand that to me?
Here you go. He was her boyfriend as well. He didn't know me. I'm just
So you got a message out of the blue from another woman.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, he told me you were his ex and that you were pregnant, but you're and didn't know who the dad was.
Yes, ma'am.
The back and forth continues, with Mr. Silva accusing her of hiding something and Ms. Reeves claiming he's simply insecure. The more they argue, the more the audience can feel the tension building. It's clear, a paternity test is the only way out of this mess.
Mr. Silva, you are the father.
Mr. Baker had been playing the father role on and off for 22 years, but now he suddenly wasn't so sure. After raising not 1 but 2 daughters, he decided the paternity of the second child needed clarification. Why? Because Miss Graves, his wife of 4 years and partner of over 2 decades, admitted there might have been a couple of other contenders in the baby daddy lottery, and suddenly all hell broke loose.
Ms. Graves, you state your marriage is on the rocks and on the brink of divorce.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing your husband, Mr. Baker, for a paternity test to prove that he's your 19-year-old daughter, Vanicia's biological father. You claim you're hoping this DNA test will fix your family.
Ms. Graves stood her ground, claiming that a simple DNA test could mend their broken family, save their marriage, and give their 19-year-old daughter, Vanicia, the needed answers. But Mr. Baker wasn't buying it. He had serious doubts.
Got together this last time. I feel like he kind of punishing me and my daughter.
Punishing you how?
Like the way he treats us. He's not the man that he should be for the family.
What is he punishing you for?
We had a DNA for my first daughter. It was 22 years ago.
What made the situation even more complicated was the history between them. They weren't just any couple, they were a couple with a past. For Ms. Graves, the public embarrassment she got from Mr. Baker after informing him of the possibility that Vanicia could be his was enough.
You have been in a relationship for almost 22 years.
No, ma'am. We've been dealing with each other for 22 years.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I think that's what I meant, but
Yeah.
thank you for the clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I appreciate that. But what I want to make clear is you were not married until later on.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Baker wasn't convinced. He claimed Miss Graves had never even told him he was the father, and even if she had, he didn't believe her, especially after that first paternity bombshell 2 decades ago. Now here they were again, facing off in court.
Never said that I was her father.
Okay, but what about when she was 10?
When she was 10,
and we were together, and she was calling you daddy.
You told me that she was my father.
You told me that she looked like you.
Okay,
similarity.
I said that.
Okay.
I know I said
okay,
that.
Then.
But I didn't say, did you say that I was her father?
They're not just separate. Miss Graves had terminal cancer, and all she wanted before she left this world was clarity for her daughter. And Mr. Baker, well, let's just say compassion wasn't exactly his strong suit. While she was battling cancer and undergoing chemo, he was verbally abusive, argumentative, and cold.
To clear my mind, I have terminal cancer. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't even know how to treat me with that. He's not compassionate. He cussed me out. I'm doing chemo, and right before I do the chemo, we're arguing, and my blood pressure shot.
Blame on me, though.
Yes.
Blame me.
His smug body language and refusal to own up to his part in the dysfunction had the judge fed up. She called him out for disrespecting his wife, dodging responsibility, and letting past wounds fester instead of seeking truth and healing. She reminded him that Vanicia deserved answers.
I want to hear because when you talking thus far,
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest, you getting on my last nerve.
I'm sorry.
Because you, no,
I'm sorry,
you're
I'm
not.
sorry.
It's like you're
I'm
not
sorry.
taking it seriously. It's too much smiling and acting like what
I
she's
wasn't
saying
smiling. It's
doesn't
because it was-
matter.
it was-
no.
it was
Let
critical.
you not gonna out-talk me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ms. Graves had been pushed for the truth. Yes, she had slept with 2 other men during the same 8-day window. So why was she so sure Mr. Baker was the one? Well, because Venetia looked like him. That's it. But Mr. Baker, though he could see the resemblance, still held on to his doubts. And who could blame him? A man who had been betrayed once was not quick to trust again.
What are your doubts specifically as it
Like I
relates
say,
to her?
it's not just me. It's 2 other guys, you know. And the timing, yeah, you might say that we were here and there, but at the same time, the timing, it could match up and it could not match up.
The 2 other men, how did you find out about these?
I mean,
2
she
other
told me about them. Miss Graves told me about them.
Still, Mr. Baker insisted the timeline didn't add up. He wasn't sure if he and Miss Graves had even been together during the supposed conception period. That's when Miss Graves whipped out her conception calendar.
Go ahead, man.
Halloween, we ended up hooking up, you know, so I was still dealing with him because he was my baby's father from the previous child. I have evidence here.
I'd like to see that evidence. What is that specifically, ma'am?
It's the conception date.
The window of conception.
Yes,
This wasn't just about biology, it was about healing, responsibility, and the messiness of love stretched out over 2 decades of hurt. Miss Graves wasn't perfect. She knew it. She'd made mistakes. But all she wanted now was peace for her daughter and maybe, just maybe, a chance to fix what was broken in her family before time ran out. And then came the results.
Mr. Baker, you are not her father.
Imagine calling off your wedding, pawning the engagement ring for half its value, and dragging your ex to court just to prove a point. That's exactly what Mr. Fernandez did. After catching his fiancée, Ms. Butler, in a lie, he bet everything on a DNA test that would, hopefully, confirm he wasn't the father of little Divine.
Mr. Fernandez, you and your former fiancée, Ms. Butler, say everything rides on today's DNA results. You claim you found evidence that she cheated and another man may have fathered your little girl, Divine. Now, you called off the wedding, pawned the ring, and lost $300. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Butler, however, was sticking to her story. She admitted to straying, but she was adamant. Divine was still Mr. Fernandez's daughter, and there was no question about it. Despite her admission of cheating, she wasn't about to back down from her claim that Fernandez was Divine's father.
Ms. Butler, although you admit to cheating during the window of conception, you say you have no doubt Mr. Fernandez is Divine's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Fernandez, why did you pawn the ring?
Because I was frustrated, I was angry. I took the ring back and I left.
The real issue was whether he had been tricked into fathering a child that wasn't his. But Ms. Butler wasn't letting him get away with it that easily. She started to recount how she caught him red-handed once before.
When we first got together, he already had a girlfriend, so he already was a cheater in the beginning. He cheated with...
I cheated while we here. I didn't cheat while we here right now.
You did cheat, and that's exactly why I cheated. But he already had a girlfriend when we first got together. You know the baby is yours. You know the baby is yours. You did cheat.
According to her, he had gone off to see another woman, but when he returned, the unmistakable scent was all over him. To make matters worse, she soon admitted that while Mr. Fernandez was off with someone else, she had gone out, had a few drinks, and made some questionable decisions herself.
All day.
Smell like
Working
Your
all
Honor.
day. Working
it's a
all day.
difference between sweat and sex.
So the bottom line is you
That
felt
she cheated. That's the bottom.
like he had been cheating.
Yes.
And then what happened?
We get into a big argument. I put him out because I know what I smell. I don't care what he's talking about. I know what I smell. I'm bleeding my nose over.
Mr. Fernandez found evidence that Ms. Butler cheated by snooping through her phone. That was enough to send him over the edge. It took weeks of arguments and digging, but she finally admitted that yes, she had a little slip-up. But don't worry, she insisted she used protection, confidently.
So bottom line is you slept with somebody else.
Yes.
And you say you used a condom.
I did use a condom, yes.
Now, how did you find out that she slept with somebody else?
I found out it took weeks of me pressing it out of her. When I came home, it was just me and her there one day. I see her phone. I ain't gonna lie, Your Honor, I'm a big snooper, so I grabbed the phone.
Yes.
But here's where it gets absurd. Ms. Butler had always told Mr. Fernandez that she was allergic to condoms, which is why they never used them. But now, all of a sudden, with this random guy, she had no issues.
Did she?
You cheated and got caught red-handed. I never cheated.
When did she come clean?
She came clean. It took weeks. It took weeks for her to actually
You just kept asking her over and over again.
I kept asking her. It was several arguments.
And I wore a condom.
You allergic to condoms, right?
And I wore a condom.
But you allergic to it?
But I didn't know him.
So you don't eat some food that you allergic to it.
When Judge Lake pressed her about the supposed allergy, Ms. Butler admitted she made it up, just so Mr. Fernandez wouldn't use protection. Yep, she lied to keep things raw. And now, post-fact, she's trying to claim she miraculously wore a condom with someone else. Yeah, that tracks.
So you're not actually allergic to latex?
No, I'm not.
That's just something you told him?
Yes.
Wow.
Because you wanted to sleep with him without protection?
Yes.
Whoa, so you trapped me. So she was trying to trap me. Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Ms. Butler, you said you did use a condom with this new guy.
Yes.
So obviously there was no allergic reaction because you're not really allergic.
Right.
But Ms. Butler wasn't done yet. She came to court with a calendar. According to her, she and Mr. Fernandez were intimate the entire week, leading up to her one-night stand. So yes, they were both wilding out, but somehow he was the villain. Judge Lake wasn't buying it.
So this calendar represents the dates you were intimate with a plaintiff?
Yes.
All right, so you were intimate with Mr. Fernandez on the 1st?
Yes, the 31st, the 1st. Then we got into it. He cheated on me on the 2nd. He came up with like sex, and then I went out with my friend and did what I did.
So now, you submitted this calendar to...
As the courtroom tension rose, the judge sifted through their nonsense with a raised eyebrow and plenty of side-eye. After all the ridiculous accusations, the fake allergy, and the $300 loss, Judge Lake finally opened the envelope.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Fernandez, you are her father.
Told you. I know what I'm talking about.
Ms. Wilson dragged Mr. Phillips to court, determined to prove that he was the father of her daughter, Hope. But Mr. Phillips was convinced that Ms. Wilson's co-worker was the birth father. According to him, the kid didn't look like him at all, but instead looked exactly like this other man, Mr. Garcia.
Ms. Wilson, you believe the defendant, Mr. Phillips, was always unfaithful to you and still holds a flame for his ex-wife.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yet you claim he is the one who's always accused you of cheating, and he's repeatedly denied fathering your daughter, Hope.
Yes, Your Honor.
These two didn't start off on solid ground. In fact, their relationship started as a no-strings-attached hookup. And for 7 years, it stayed rocky. There was no trust, no boundaries, and apparently no filters. Arguments about cheating were a regular thing.
How did your relationship with Mr. Phillips go so wrong?
Well, the way we got together, just having sex. And so when you build a relationship like that...
That's pretty together.
Yeah, right. And when
so it started off as a non-committal sexual relationship.
Correct.
Mr. Phillips accused Ms. Wilson of sleeping around, especially with his co-worker. Meanwhile, Ms. Wilson swore she was loyal, except for that little detail about kissing Mr. Garcia in a club while being all up on him like they were auditioning for a reality show. But hey, she wasn't making love, just kissing. So that's totally different, right?
Mr. Phillips?
Yes, Your Honor.
What are these doubts based upon?
We were separated at a point in time, and during that point in time, she led me to believe that I was the only man that she was sexually involved with. But she let me know she was doing the clubs and she was dating people, but she was not sexually involved with anybody.
Okay.
Still, things got even more bizarre. Before they got serious, Ms. Wilson apparently used to answer calls from her other man while hooking up with Mr. Phillips. That's right, talking on the phone during the deed.
His concern, but...
So that's your co-worker?
That's my co-worker, correct.
But you admit from kissing on him in the club, you admit to going on vacation with him, you admit to hanging around with him, you lived in the same apartment complex.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips, that's your doubt.
I mean, even before that, even prior to him.
So, it's understood. They were talking to other people on the phone while having sex with each other. He wasn't any better. He was juggling women, throwing wild parties, and sleeping with half the women in his apartment complex, so much so that they literally had to move houses just to escape his reputation.
The bottom line is, you two established this anything goes, thrill-seeking, let's be single and have fun relationship, but then it backfired.
For her, she knew in my whole delivery that I was a player, that I was a bachelor, that I was living that life when she met me.
But somewhere along the line, it got real. She got pregnant. They moved in together, tried to start fresh. But remember how he slept with almost everyone in his old apartment complex? Yeah, that fresh start was doomed from the jump.
So you move in with Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
And you all have a conversation and you say, you know what? I'm pregnant.
Yes.
We're living together. Let's try to make this thing work and have a real committed relationship. You agreed to it, Mr. Phillips.
I agreed to it.
But I didn't trust him, and then I really didn't trust him, not only because of the...
They moved into a new place, but the past followed. While trying to unpack, Ms. Wilson stumbled across nude photos of his ex-wife, her shoes, candles they shared, and other intimate reminders of the woman he swore he was over. When she asked him to get rid of it all, he simply handed the stuff over to his mom. Classy.
When we moved into our new place, it was for a new start. We would leave everything behind.
behind. I had my baby probably about 2 months or a month after we moved in, so I didn't really get to unpack and just really get settled in. And so when I finally got the chance to get settled in, I found naked pictures of the ex-wife.
Now let's go back to Mr. Garcia, the alleged real father. This wasn't just about the kiss. He held Hope in his arms, acted like a family friend, and even shook Mr. Phillips' hand. Mr. Phillips had made up his mind. The child had Garcia's features, not his.
Regarding the paternity of young Hope, Ms. Wilson's daughter.
Right.
Mr. Phillips contends that you were with Ms. Wilson in the club, that you were kissing in the club.
I was.
Were
We
you
weren't
kissing?
She was showing me how to kiss.
It turned out that Mr. Garcia was just Ms. Wilson's gay best friend. With all this back and forth, Judge Lake had had enough. Through all the noise, the only thing that mattered was the truth.
Mr. Phillips, you are her father.
It was a courtroom filled with drama, tension, and accusations that no one could have predicted. On one side, there was Miss Lindsay, fiercely accusing Miss Cade of using her son to climb the ladder to fame and fortune. She claimed that the woman had cheated on him the very same month she got pregnant, and now she was demanding that her son be the father of her child. On the other side stood Miss Cade, who insisted that despite her uncertainty about the child's paternity, she had no financial agenda. Her only aim was to clear the air and prove Miss Lindsay wrong.
Ms. Lindsay, you claim the defendant is using her child to trap your son the rewards of his success. You say she cheated on your son the very month she got pregnant, yet
The accusations came fast and furious. Miss Lindsay, who appeared to harbor deep resentment, didn't hold back. She pointed her finger at Miss Cade, calling her all sorts of names. But the real kicker was when Miss Lindsay claimed she'd heard rumors of Miss Cade sleeping around with multiple people, some of them her own son's friends. It was the kind of gossip that, while lacking solid proof, certainly added fuel to the fire. Miss Cade, of course, denied all of it, but it was hard to ignore the drama swirling around her past.
That is not true. Let me tell you,
one at a time now. Miss Lindsay, what's going on as you so upset?
Your Honor, before with my son, she was my daughter right here, his best friend.
According to Ms. Lindsay, Ms. Cade's bedroom history disqualified her from ever being a legitimate partner for her son. Ms. Cade denied everything, but Ms. Lindsay was relentless. She didn't want her son with his sister's trampy best friend, and she made sure the court knew it.
Hey, were you all up in the sauna and steam?
I am a young lady. I do not get down like that, personally. Blood of Jesus. I do not
Why
get down
do you
like
think
that.
Ms. Lindsay making these allegations?
She has a problem with me since the beginning.
This promises to be a heated session, but the real drama came when the conversation turned to the baby itself. Miss Lindsay had stormed into the delivery room during the birth, trying to be the first to see the child. Security had to be called in to remove her.
Okay, let me get something straight. You're here because you doubt that your son is the 5K baby.
Your Honor, she had a C-section. She had a C-section just like you.
As the case progressed, it became even clearer that there was more to this than met the eye. Marvin, the young man at the center of it all, expressed doubt about being the father. Though he hoped the baby was his, he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. And the doubts weren't just coming from him.
Do you believe the baby is yours?
I hope that the baby is mine. With everything in my heart, I hope that it's my baby.
I think he would believe it if she didn't keep interjecting
Hope and
and saying
believe
no.
are two different.
I don't know for a fact. I believe that it's my baby.
These women are out for blood. However, the most explosive detail came when Miss Cade admitted that during a break from Marvin, she had slept with someone else. That someone else, her ex, was a man of mixed heritage, and Marvin believed the baby's curly hair was a clear sign of this man's genetic influence.
What were your doubts based
Okay,
upon?
my doubts are based on what the doctor said about her, and I'm right. They couldn't see the resemblance, so they are the father or where was the father.
She's a little baby.
She looks
Children
like me.
grow.
Of course, I knew features to develop, but
As Miss Cade revealed this bombshell, the room went silent. Was it possible that Miss Cade had gotten pregnant during the break, or had she simply made a bad decision and slept with both men during the same window of time?
You're in a break, and then you end up getting back with your ex. You have unprotected sex.
And
then you end up back with
Mr.
Mr.
Yes, and then I found out I was pregnant.
You were pregnant. Who do you think was the father?
With each passing moment, it became clear that this wasn't just about the baby. It was about trust, betrayal, and the clash between two very different women. One, a protective mother, and the other, a woman fighting for the truth.
Children have their baby toenail, it grows straight up, and I mean all shoe off, boy.
What?
And you better not tell me, show that judge your toe. Show that judge your toe right now.
Wait, what is it?
But the tension reached its peak when Judge Lake, who had been handling the case with remarkable patience, decided it was time to bring this all to a close. With the courtroom hanging on every word, the judge readied herself to deliver the verdict.
Mr. You, her father.
Still
The chaos surrounding the paternity of little Zaylon Davis is like a wild game of chance, with the stakes higher than anyone expected. Two identical twins, Brian and Marcus Wiggins, both point their fingers at each other, claiming they might be the fathers of Cecily Williams' child. But before you get too deep into this mess, just wait until you hear how it all spiraled out of control.
Mr. Wiggins, you and your twin brother are here for the results of paternity tests regarding Zaylon Davis.
Yes,
you both claim you was with the defendant, Cecily Williams.
It all started on a night in Las Vegas. Cheap hotel rooms, drinks, and a group of friends ready to party. Brian, feeling adventurous, books the room and invites his twin brother Marcus along for the ride. A night of drinking and hanging out soon turns into something much more complicated when both men end up in a tangled web with Cecily and her friends. As the night winds down, things get fuzzy. Brian, fading from the night's drinking, finds himself in a state of semi-consciousness on the couch, while his brother Marcus, ever the opportunist, takes things a step further with Cecily.
Do you believe the son or...
He's my son, and he's my nephew or not. So, you
Why?
know, into Vegas. And during the week, the hotel rooms is very cheap. So, you know, I'm room.
But hold on, here's where things start to get even juicier. The morning after, as the hangover sets in, Brian was shocked when Marcus casually mentioned that he had slept with Cecily. Brian's immediate response? He didn't believe his brother at first. Surely, he thought, Marcus was just stretching the truth. But soon enough, reality sinks in. Marcus insists it wasn't just one time, it happened twice.
Hold on, because at the time, Ms. Williams was your friend.
Yes.
Actual
He's
relationship.
just mad because I smacked her. He got a
Your
little
Honor,
jealous.
I object. I sex with him ever. Look at him. Why would I? We
Kill.
need to.
Now I'm sure you're thinking, this is already messy, but there's no way this can get worse. Well, it does. It turns out that Cecily can't even remember exactly who she slept with that night. Was it Brian or Marcus? Or maybe it was both. She gets defensive when confronted, swearing up and down that she didn't sleep with either brother, but the expressions on her face tell a different story. She admits to being so drunk that the lines between who was who blurred. And here's the kicker. She doesn't even deny that she could have slept with both men on different occasions. This, of course, only stirs the pot further.
Why didn't you believe your told
Well,
you
because
he
my
had
brother
sex
has he stretches the truth a little bit. Didn't really quite believe it. So her asked her about it. You know, the reaction gave me was like, no, what are you talking to? Do anything like that?
Things are getting out of control. Meanwhile, Cecily plays the part of the confused, remorseful young woman, admitting she made some stupid decisions when she was young. But there's one thing that sticks out. Why would any woman get so drunk that she doesn't remember which twin she slept with? You can't help but wonder if her memory isn't the only thing she's trying to blur.
You said that you really don't remember exactly everything that went down that night, and you possibly sexed.
There were other nights do the same things. You know, I could have possibly.
Let's be real here. If you can't remember who you slept with, especially when the two suspects are literal carbon copies of each other, you've got yourself a recipe for paternity disaster. And who pays the price? Not Brian, not Marcus, not even Cecily. It's Zaylon, the little boy whose fatherhood was now tangled in this circus.
How did you find out that Ms. Williams was pregnant?
We stopped talking for a few months, and I decided to give her a call. I gave her a call, and I went to the doctor. I got the paper of the ultrasound and everything. I'm like, okay, go ahead.
With all the emotional chaos and confusion piling up, the tension is unbearable. You can almost feel Judge Lake's frustration as she tries to make sense of the madness unfolding before her. Cecily tells the court how one of the twins ignored her and denied her and her baby.
Your Honor, he never really even cared because around he was not with the girl that he said is her baby and my 9 months apart. So care anything about me because I was always second to him.
Cecily let it all out. She told the court that Marcus had been ignoring her and the baby despite initially accepting the baby and taking several pictures with her.
You sold me a dream in the beginning. You told me that, but at the end of the day, you left me for the other girl. Not only did I, in the beginning, get a child or whatever, how many times have I been you for a DNA test?
The court even had to administer a polygraph test to get to the bottom of things. The lies are flying fast, the truth is getting harder to pin down, and at this point, the real question is, how could anyone trust what's being said? The moment of truth arrives.
This court has determined that Mr. Brian Wiggins is the biological father. Mr. Jackson, you say that 41 years ago, you were falsely accused of fathering a little girl, and that accusation has ruined your life, cost you tens of thousands of dollars, steady employment, and your health. Today, you are here to prove the defendant is not your daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's sad. Judging from what he just said, it seems like Mr. Jackson has been through a great deal of stress, having to take care of Ms. Jackson and be her father. But if he claims to not be the father, why then was he named as her father?
I've been paying support since I was maybe 30, Your Honor. I started working for a private contractor. For 18 years, Your Honor, I did not know that I owed child support. And I get a job with a paycheck. It's when I find out I owe child support.
Damn. Now it makes sense when he says that child support ruined his life. $25,000 in debt is crazy. The fact that he is even 63 years of age makes it 10 times worse. The question still remains. How did he end up paying for a child he claims not to be his? This definitely didn't happen out of the blue.
And it mentioned, things like, he didn't think that, he was the only man that my mom slept with. And
How old were you when he was saying this?
I was like 9 or 10 or 11 years old.
At 9 or 10, you were having to process that information?
Yes.
Oh, so that's what she means when she calls him her homie. Interesting. Ms. Jackson says that she had a relationship with Mr. Jackson, but it was not the father-daughter type of relationship you would expect. A homie can't be your dad, that's for sure.
The time I was married, and I knew it was wrong, but I did it.
So what happened when she told you she was pregnant?
I told her it was not my child, Your Honor.
Did you say that because you didn't believe that was your child? Or did you say that because you knew you were married and you knew you were wrong?
At that time, I believed a little both, Your Honor.
Okay, that's honest. I want to know.
Yes.
His wife must really love him. Going back to him after he cheated on her with Ms. Jackson's mother? Wow. At least he admitted to the fact that he denied the child because he didn't want it to ruin his marriage. But denying a child doesn't mean the child isn't yours.
How did you know as a child that he knew, Mr. Jackson, where you and your mother were?
Well, he's on my birth certificate first and foremost.
He is?
Yes, he's on my birth certificate.
Okay. Do you have that birth certificate here?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Jerome, can you hand me that? So, did you know you were on the birth certificate?
No,
did you
I
sign
didn't. I never signed nothing, Your Honor.
Now I see what's going on. Mr. Jackson's name is on her birth certificate, but he says that he never signed the birth certificate because he was never at her birth. She also claims that the name written on the certificate is what Ms. Jackson's mother used to call him, meaning she's the one that put the name on the birth certificate. Wow.
So that I could buy ice cream. And he told me he didn't have it. And I said, well, do you have 10 cents, 15 cents,
Anisha.
a nickel? And he said that he didn't have either or. But I would see him go to the liquor store and buy alcohol or whatever he would, buy for himself, but he couldn't even give me 25 cents.
Ouch. That is coming from a place of heart. You can tell from the way she's talking and looking at Mr. Jackson dead in the eyes. He really hurt her as a kid, and it seems like she has not forgiven him for all the trauma he put her through.
Have family members that stutter as well.
And then she talked about, in her testimony just recently, having to deal with a slight level of stuttering. Is the severity or lack thereof any indicator?
No, you can have someone in a family who is severely, profoundly a stutterer, and then you can also have someone that is a mild stutterer as well.
Even with the expert analysis, Mr. Jackson sticks to his story and says that Ms. Jackson is not his daughter. Phew, it's honestly starting to get tiring at this point. If only her mom was here to give her side of the story. Maybe trying to get the truth won't be so difficult.
This is your stepfather?
Yes.
And what testimony would you like to offer to this court today?
Well, as far as my dad, he's cool, and I know that growing up, it was hard for him to do what he wanted to do for us because he had no money. We still ate, we still had clothes and everything,
And there goes the confession from Mr. Jackson's stepson. He claims that his dad would never have denied Ms. Jackson if he knew that she was his daughter. Even with the debt he owed, Mr. Jackson always made sure his kids were well taken care of. At this point, I think we should see the results.
Mr. Jackson Jr., you are her father.
Mrs. Strickland needs to prove to her husband that he is the father of their 4-year-old daughter, Nancy, because their marriage is on the verge of a collapse. Mr. Strickland needs the DNA results today because he is up and ready to leave if he finds out he is not the father of the child. Well, let's get to the bottom of it all, shall we?
Ms. Strickland, you have brought your husband to court to prove he is the biological father of your 4-year-old daughter, Nancy. You say your marriage is strained and claim positive paternity results will save your relationship. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Looks like there's trouble in paradise for these two. Mrs. Strickland begins by telling the judge that she loves her husband so much and would never betray his trust for anything in the world. If that's true, what's making him doubt that he is the father?
Take me back to how you met.
We'd met online on a dating site, and we talked on there for probably 6 or 7 months. And then I got her phone number and called her, and we talked for a while, and we were really good friends. We stayed best friends. We tried dating at that point in time. Unfortunately, I was in a bad relationship.
It's really beautiful to listen to. It's as if Mrs. Strickland was the woman who had come to fill the empty spaces in his life. It's crazy that all that sweetness and love has turned into him thinking that his wife has has been unfaithful to him.
Obtain a home for us in a new city, and I was looking for a job. And in the 11 months, I went back and forth from where we were living in Dyersburg to Memphis, back and forth. And in that time, it created jealousy issues. He thought that maybe I was seeing other people while I was going down to Memphis to see my children.
Let's be honest, that would make anybody start to have suspicions. Mr. Strickland says that when she initially started moving between cities, he did not have an issue with it. The issue started when she no longer wanted him around and started to change her attitude towards him.
Gone over there, and she'd been to Memphis for probably about a week. And it was kind of rough because, of course I missed her, I loved her. And when she got back, it was the same thing as before. It was, she didn't want me around her, she didn't want me near her.
Well, if there's anything we know, it's the fact that they both see things from two separate perspectives. Mrs. Strickland says that Mr. Strickland was the one who lost his affection for her belly while she was pregnant. Mr. Strickland claims that she was the one who was being distant.
When they first brought the birth certificate in, I had signed the paperwork. They refused it because me and her were not legally married. She was still legally married to her ex-husband.
Oh!
So they brought in the second birth certificate. She requested to have her maiden name put on it.
Okay.
They said there wasn't a problem with that. She signs the paperwork, they send it off, we wait in the mail for it to come in.
And finally, the big bombs start to drop. Mr. Strickland shows his evidence where his wife refused the information under the father section of the baby's birth certificate. I wonder what excuse she's gonna have for doing that.
Contact the court. Well, I decided to contact the court myself. And I found out I literally could walk in there and within 6 months have it done. All I had to do, I could file a petition for the court for a paternity test. Once it was situated and it was proven whether I was the father or not, I go to the county clerk and then pay my money.
Man, do I love a man who knows how to go about his business? Haha. Mrs. Strickland, looks like you have a lot of explaining to do. Mr. Strickland says that changing the name of the birth certificate won't take up to 6 months. Their daughter is 4 years old now, and she still hasn't done it. That's all shades of fishy.
Mr. Strickland, is this the only doubt you have? Do you have any other doubt?
She had actually started talking to a guy on the same site we were on, that me and her met. And I'd seen the texts. I stopped that immediately.
So you saw text messages in her phone?
Yes, in her phone.
What did the messages say?
Things talking about how beautiful she was, how much he'd like to get to know her, how much he'd like to get to meet her.
Well, that explains why her husband is finding it difficult to believe that she's telling him the truth. In her previous relationship, she was unfaithful to her ex-husband. And let's not forget the fact that Mr. Strickland caught her texting another man. His doubts are very much validated.
I actually have those pictures.
I'd like to see them. Jerome, will you hand me that evidence, please?
Yep.
Please describe to the court what these pictures
Those are
indicate.
pictures that I actually myself have taken.
So you took the pictures,
Yes.
but she sent them to another man.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm not going to lie. If I were to be in that same situation, I would lose my mind. It would feel like I was sharing her with another man. That definitely had to hurt when he found out. All right, I think we've seen enough. Let's get down to the bottom of this whole drama. Here are the results.
Mr. Strickland, you are the father.
All her life, Ms. Lewis has known herself to be Daddy's little angel. She is devastated now that her daddy, Mr. Palmer, is saying that he is not her father. Mr. Palmer, on the other hand, says that he has always known he was not her father. Trust me, it's a crazy case, but here's how it all starts.
Ms. Lewis, you are devastated that after being Daddy's little girl, you are now forced to drag your father to court to prove that you are his biological daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
There's no way that would not have hurt her as a child. Ms. Lewis says that her dad, or supposed to be dad, broke the news to her when she was 13, that he was not her father in front of all her other siblings. Who does that?
Mr. Palmer, do you remember this day that she says you gathered everybody up?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why would you gather everybody up and tell her she's not your biological daughter?
Because I knew all the time she wasn't my daughter, and I just thought it was just time to tell her.
It always starts with the rumors, doesn't it? Mr. Palmer says that he loved her mother and they were inseparable at the time. They were even supposed to get married, but his friends called him a fool because they told him that she had been moving around with another guy.
Pink and white. I never will forget that. I was in love with her.
What happened with Ford, the car? What you said you were...
That was her boyfriend's car.
That was the boyfriend's car.
It was in there driving.
Was she in the car when you saw her?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you see?
She laid down, her leg was sticking out the side of the car.
Well, I guess we now know why his friends were calling him a fool for claiming to want to marry her mother. Mr. Palmer claims that Ms. Lewis's mother had a boyfriend, and he could remember how they used to play love in the boyfriend's car. But Ms. Lewis claims that her mother denied all of that and told her it was not true. Phew.
Reached out. Me and my sister reached out to him.
Well, that's what I'm curious about as well. So at this point where you have this bomb dropped on you at 13 years old, and you're told that he's not your biological father, where does it go from there?
When he told me I didn't come back for about 4 years, 3 or 4 years. I think when I came back, I was, 17?
I mean, in that picture, they sure do look alike. What still makes the whole case a mystery is why Mr. Palmer decided to take care of her and be there as a father when he believed all this, while that he was not her biological father. Who knows, maybe he's just a good man. We'll see.
That's right, Your Honor.
Did you bring any proof of that?
Over here, Your Honor, right here.
I'd like to see it.
From the time I left for war in May 1968.
Let me follow along with you. So this is your timeline. You say you left to go to war.
In May of 68.
May of 68. Let me first say thank you for your service.
Going by the explanation and the evidence he just displayed in the courtroom, he does have a point. The dates of when he was at war and when Ms. Lewis was born just do not add up. I think we can understand why he claims to not be her father.
Is September 6, 1969 your birthday?
Yes, Your Honor.
It is, in fact, your birthday.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so when Mr. Palmer outlines this chain of events, his conclusion is that you would have had to have been conceived sometime in November of 1968.
Oh, it definitely does, Judge Lauren. It definitely does. Apparently, Mr. Palmer had moved on and got into another relationship with another woman, and that's why he continued to deny that he was and is not Ms. Lewis's father.
You are her brother.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you believe Mr. Palmer is Ms. Lewis's biological father?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I was there. I was there when he told her that he was not her father, but I believe that.
Oh, you were there on that day at the farm?
Yes, ma'am, I was. Yes, Your Honor.
The look on his face says it all. One of Mr. Palmer's kids steps in and says that he has another sibling who was born around the same time with Ms. Lewis, and Mr. Palmer was around to take care of the child and be a father to him. Why then is he denying Ms. Lewis?
Child of yours, born to you and your wife, born September 14th, 1969, just 8 days after when Ms. Lewis was born.
That's right, Your Honor.
So if you were there to conceive this child, why wouldn't you be there to conceive that child?
I probably got home on a leave or something like that. I left on leave. I don't know exactly.
Come on now, Mr. Palmer. That has to be the dumbest excuse I have ever heard. I mean, both children were born with a difference of just 8 days. I have a feeling he just doesn't want to tell the truth. He was definitely around during that period.
He missed out on a whole lot. He missed out on my graduations. I wanted my daddy to walk me down the aisle when I got married. He wasn't there for that. I have 5 girls and 1 son. And that 1 son I had, I would have loved for my dad to be there, and he wasn't there. But I know this turnout is gonna be.
Believe me, I'm also praying that the results reveal Mr. Palmer to be her father. If it doesn't turn out that way, Ms. Lewis is going to be heartbroken. Oh well, here are the results. Let's see what they have in store for us.
Mr. Palmer, you are her father.
Ms. Curtis has been left homeless and is in need of help because the defendant, Mr. Buckley, has refused to accept being the father to her child. Mr. Buckley says that all she has done is cheat and lie, and that the results would prove that he is not the father of the child in question. Here's how it begins.
Miss Curtis, you say this court date is extremely important to you. You're here to prove to your ex-fiance, Mr. Buckley, that he fathered your 22-month-old son, Xavier, because his denial has left you homeless and in need of help.
Yes, Your Honor.
Damn. Going from having a home to sleeping in a homeless shelter with a child is devastating. Ms. Curtis is definitely hurt by the situation. Even talking about it makes her tear up. I really wonder how they got to this level.
His landlord sent me an eviction notice. I had just had surgery.
Is that true, Mr. Buckley?
Yes, that is true, Your Honor, but I allowed her to live in my apartment at that time. I was being nice to her. She got mad at me because I was with someone else.
This is going to be one hell of a case. Mr. Buckley says that he did not want a relationship with Ms. Curtis, and when he told her this, she said that she would make his life a living hell. That's the only reason he kicked her out of the house.
So you don't believe you can have children?
No, Your Honor.
Why?
Your Honor, I was in a relationship before, and we tried to conceive a child. We went to fertility specialists, and we were on medicine and kept up with ovulation dates and the whole 9.
Even my eyebrows are raised after hearing that. Mr. Buckley confesses and says that he has never been able to get any woman pregnant in not one but 2 different relationships. So for Ms. Curtis to come out of the blue and say she's pregnant, it definitely sounds suspicious.
Whose is it?
No, you didn't.
That's pretty much what I said.
No, you said you told every other girl you were in a relationship with, congratulations, who's the father? But I was different, that you were willing to step up and be his father, which you haven't done.
I haven't done that because of you.
Because of me?
Yes.
It's just a drive away.
Haha, not Judge Lauren looking at these 2 grown adults like they're having a chaotic family session. Well, Mr. Buckley says that Ms. Curtis had her own apartment, and he has no idea why she never wanted to leave his own apartment.
Spending Christmas with you? Who was I having sex with? Your brothers? Your uncle?
No.
What happened during the conception period? It was during the holidays?
Yes, it was Christmas.
She told
I was
me
supposed to go home for Christmas, and I couldn't afford to go home. So he volunteered for me to spend Christmas with him and his family.
Well, he started it. He definitely deserved that after saying she had plenty of hours to sleep around. Oh well, they continue with their back and forth yelling, and they just keep dropping truth bombs. Judge Lauren better step in before they rip each other apart.
So take me to the day you gave birth, Miss Curtis.
I was in labor for 13 and a half hours. Mr. Buckley was with me for the whole 13 and a half hours. I have pictures of him at the hospital.
I'd like to see those.
I ended up having to have an emergency C-section because little Xavier's oxygen level dropped and he was in distress.
Would you blame her for falling in love? I mean, she literally just said that Mr. Buckley went into tears when he heard that the baby might not make it during surgery. Why then is he acting like he never cared about the baby?
Something that we made together, something that I never thought was possible.
Something that I don't think is possible, Your Honor.
But in this photo, it doesn't look like. I see tears in your eyes, Mr. Buck. What do you feel when you look at that picture?
It's impossible to describe. There's no way to put it into words.
Let's just say the battle is between Mr. Buckler's mind and heart. Deep down in his heart, he wants the child to be his because he wants to be a father, but his brain constantly tells him that it's not possible because he has tried and failed more than once in his previous relationships.
Bunch.
Miss Bunch, you are Mr. Buckley's
friend.
All right. And what information do you have concerning Xavier's paternity?
Your Honor, I have a lot of information. I actually brought a sketch with me.
I would like to see it. The exhibit here?
This right here, Your Honor, this is my house, my back door. And this is Mrs. Curtis' front door. And as you can see...
Okay, I guess we know why his doubts are strong. Mr. Buckler's friend walks up and explains that she knew that Miss Curtis had a boyfriend, and aside from that, she was also sleeping with several other men. It's crazy that she found out all of this from her back door.
Certificate, father's name, Xavier Buckley.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's you.
Correct.
You signed it voluntarily.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
And is there a child support order?
Yes, Your Honor.
There is.
Yes.
How much per week are you obligated to pay?
I'm not exactly sure.
He was supposed to pay $216 a month.
And there they go again with their yapping. Ms. Curtis says that he is in child support debt because he quit his job, all because he does not want to do anything for her child. Honestly, I think we've seen enough of their drama. Here are the results.
Mr. Buckley, you are not his father.
She had sex with 2 men on the same day she conceived her baby. In total, there are 10 men she slept with within her window of conception. Mr. Crisp and Ms. Hewlett are about to have a long day with Judge Lake at paternity court today. Here's how the case begins.
With my first son, he wasn't there. I did it myself. I was working, he was partying, I was left alone at home. He was never there.
And this forced you to cheat?
Yes, Your Honor. Because he wasn't there. I mean, I had no one. I did it all myself. I was, it was just me.
Ah yes, Mr. Crisp was never really present. This provided the go-ahead in Ms. Crisp's head to cheat. She simply cannot call her husband out and give an ultimatum. Oh no, she just had to cheat. And oh boy, did she cheat.
My dad just passed away. I was sad that he passed away, so I just got out and partied. I guess I really didn't care. I felt bad about it.
So you had been through a tragic loss.
Yes, Your Honor.
You felt comfort in partying and you just started doing the wrong things.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, Mr. Crisp. This entire thing seems like a whole lot of miscommunication and bad decisions. If he was feeling overwhelmed after his father died, why then did Ms. Hewlett find it extremely difficult to see through that and simply talk to him about it?
This cheating has led you to the doubt regarding the paternity of your son, Bentley.
Yes, Your Honor. He doesn't look nothing like me. He got blonde hair, blue eyes.
He looks just like
he looks
me,
like
though.
Dennis the Menace.
So handsome.
Plus, she told me he's cheated on me. I've had friends tell me.
Whoa, Did he just say that Baby Bentley looks like Dennis the Menace? These couples come in with a whole new taste for drama each time. Here we go again with the semblance card in court. If Baby Bentley has blonde hair and blue eyes, the features of the mother really don't matter then. It's always the father's physical features that are expressed on the genes after all.
Pregnant with Bentley, and I had wrote him a letter telling him about, it was about 10 of them.
And you admitted that you had been with 10 other men.
Yes, Your Honor.
Phew, so there really were at least 10 people she had sex with during her window of conception. How exactly is Ms. Hewlett bothered that Mr. Crisp does not think he is the father? How does that play out in her head? You tell him that you're pregnant, but you've been with 10 others. And she expects him to believe that he's the Messiah and the chosen one.
Fight before, and she says, well, you just need to go on because you're not really his father anyways. A little later, she wants to call me on the phone and say, well, Noah's, what's my oldest son, he wants you back. I don't want to have nothing to do with you, but you need to come live with me, you know, like I'm supposed to.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. On top of all of the uncertainty associated with the entire conception date, she still brought out the "you're not the real father anyway" card. With all of this, she's in disbelief that Mr. Crisp keeps denying Baby Bentley. It looks like someone's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Did you tell him he was not Bentley's father?
I have said that, Your Honor.
In your heart of hearts, did you think he really wasn't Bentley's father?
At times I do think he's not.
And you say the other gentleman is now deceased?
Yes, ma'am, he is.
Wait a minute, even Ms. Hewlett has her doubts, and that wraps up this case on paternity court. Everyone should really go home. If she already admits to not knowing whether or not the baby is Mr. Crisp's, what are we all doing here?
Really doesn't look like Joe, but I hope he is Joe's, because that way I made the mistake of Paula's dad could be 3 different men. And I want to break that cycle, because if Bentley has a different dad, he needs to know that when he gets older.
Hold up, so this is a generational thing? Oh, Ms. Bergen, did your ex-husband cheat on you too? Was that why there were 2 other prospective fathers involved in your daughter's birth? And to wait till she was 11 before she told her about it, isn't that just something?
I mean, I was the only one that worked. I was the only one trying to take care of everything.
I was trying to work all the time. People just didn't pay me.
Now, I have a grand question that I'd love answered. If you weren't happy in the relationship...
Dang, Judge Lake hit the spot. She hit the nail right on the head too. All of this bickering from Ms. Hewlett was capped shut by one grand question. If Ms. Hewlett continues to make excuses as to why she can't leave Mr. Crisp, this would be an unending cycle of cheating and unhappiness. She's already down by 10 men. Would she get to 50?
I'm not happy, you're not here, and yet you keep repeating the same cycle over and over again. Either you're physically unavailable because you're out partying or locked up.
Phew, it looks like Judge Lake is putting both mother and father in their place today. Now, after all of this, one can only hope that both parties actually become complacent about their mistakes and do something about them. Baby Bentley is their responsibility, and they do need to understand that. Now, let's get the results.
Mr. Crisp, you are his father.
Ms. Williams and her 2 sisters are in court today because their mother's past promiscuous behavior led to them growing up without knowing their fathers. Their mom, Ms. Liddell, is also here to finally put an end to the paternity mystery because her daughters still punish her for past mistakes.
It was this man who was supposedly had been my father, and we were all wanting to know, like his family, him, my aunt that raised me and Jasmine, we wanted the paternity test. We were all there and ready.
This is about to be one chaotic case. One thing that we know already is that these girls do not like their mother. And maybe, just maybe, the mother doesn't like them too. Let's find out more.
As growing up, family members would say, no, he's not your father. It was just a rumor going around that.
Who is that?
James.
The man who's going to appear in court today and has been tested?
Yes.
All right, so how do you start getting doubt?
When I was about 17 years old, me and her had an argument.
It's tasking trying to understand the issue at hand. The girls grew up thinking a particular man, James, was their father. But their mom would say during arguments that he wasn't. And then, this Mr. James doesn't treat all the girls equally because he doesn't think they're all his.
He calls out her name. Who are you? He talking about some, so you don't know who I am. She talking about some, I don't know. You talking about some, yes you do. She talking about some, oh, Lisa, they're your daddy. How is you not gonna know this is my daddy when you look at him? But you tell me, that's your daddy.
I was never there for them. I give them that. I wasn't about nothing.
This family has more problems than paternity court can fix. The youngest, Lisa, doesn't believe James is her father. All 3 girls still carry the pain of being abandoned by their mother and left with relatives. However, their mother has her reasons for doing so.
Do you know who her father is? I don't know. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest. Jamie, no. Lisa, no. Jasmine, no. I'm not for sure if James is their father, if he's not their father. Because I was whorish. I did me. I ran the streets. Okay, you can keep your slab remarks. I was whorish.
It's easy to see where the girls are coming from. The woman has no idea who the father of any of her 3 kids is. This means that even Mr. James Williams might not be the father of any of them.
Deep in my heart, Your Honor, and I hate to say it, and it's hurting me to say it too, but no, I do not.
You don't act like it, so it shouldn't be hurting you. He said no. You don't act like it. You sure don't act like it.
What are your doubts? What are your doubts based upon?
You don't believe he's your daddy?
I always had the doubt in my heart. When I met their mom, he was living the type of lifestyle as a...
While Mr. James has been present in their lives to the best of his abilities, he's never been 100% sure he's their dad. And the girls have felt the same way. Imagine living your life not knowing for sure if your father's really your father or your child's really your child. That's just so sad.
Why did you miss my 8th grade graduation? You weren't away.
Because
you were out. You were able to come. Why did you miss it?
Jamie, because I was a piece of, like, I'm not gonna keep down on myself, but I didn't care about y'all.
You see, it's not even about their paternity anymore. These girls need to go to therapy with their mother to dissect the pent-up hurt both parties feel. Even if they find out who their fathers are, they're still going to walk out of this court, calling their mother the most insulting names.
Children with young people, because it will eat away at them, break them down and lead them down the same road you were. Somebody broke you down. Where's the use? Because I done told them so many things and said so much, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get better.
This is a case like no other, because it's not only about finding out who their father is. This is about a mother whose kids wouldn't give her a chance to redeem herself. This is about 3 girls who grew up without a mother and have learned to hate her. This is about a broken home. This is about broken people.
Get better if the only thing you require of her is that she continue to tell you what a piece of crap she's been to you. Look, let me call it the way I see it. You see her, she living her agony every day. Judge. Sometimes there's nothing you can do to punish a person more than they punish themselves.
Judge Lawrence summed it up perfectly. The girls need to give their mom a breather because the woman is obviously aware she has done wrong by them and is living with the agony every single day. Could they give her a chance to right her wrongs?
Truly believe that what you need in your life and what you're wanting in your life is not just going to come from finding out who your father is, but it's going to truly come when you begin to find out who your mother was.
It's best we get to the results already. Let's find out if Mr. Williams is the father of any of the girls.
Mr. Williams, you are her father.